Galina Morozova, a well-known deputy and politician in Astrakhan, killed her own 12-year-old son and rolled him into concrete. In total, she raised 4 children. Remember the eldest son, Denis. Others described the woman as a cold politician who fights for the right values. The woman also wanted to become president. She never came to the attention of law enforcement agencies. Let's move on to my son Alexander. Morozova herself said that her son suffered from mental disorders with manic tendencies and that he was a frequent visitor to the neurologist at the clinic. Lina told me that Alexander used to poke stuffed animals with a knife as a child. The woman also says that the boy's behavior has changed a lot. At some point, he could be good, kind, and then he would become completely unlike himself, threatening to gut his mother and poking the sofa with a knife. Also, according to Galina, the boy was expelled from the Cossack Cadet Corps for bad behavior. The Russian language tutor simply refused the pupil, and then Alexander allegedly got into bad company, got involved with drugs, began to return home late, or stopped appearing at home altogether. He took money, constantly spent it somewhere. People around him said that Sasha was an absolutely kind and good child. At school, he was only praised. He played the piano perfectly and was very talented. The teacher said that he was completely trouble-free and messed with other children just like them. The most interesting thing is that Alexander was a long-awaited child, and since childhood he has been actively involved in various sports. The students said that Sasha was always very good and kind. At the moment, Galina's mother simply moves out of the house and abandons the child and the father. My father starts drinking because of this. Alexander cried and said that no one needed him anymore. 3 months later, on New Year's Eve, Galina returns to her family. But the boy Sasha is no longer happy with the gifts with which she tried to buy off her son. He realized that his mother had abandoned him and began to show in every possible way by his behavior that he did not want to communicate with her in any way and maintain contact. But this behavior of the youngster was simply caused by the fact that the mother left the family at the moment. The boy's family says that dad played the role of mom in the family, and mom played the role of dad, and the father always took care of the children's nutrition. Alexander, as it turned out, was not kicked out because of the kindergarten, but he refused to study there. To spite his mother, because it was her image. Against this background, Sasha began to run away from school, stopped studying, and got involved with bad company. The family says that the children were about 18 years old, their car was not stolen, their safes were opened. And Sasha was 12. Everyone thought that Sasha was using drugs because he came home in a strange mood, as if nothing had happened. Doctors found salts in Sasha's blood and told the mother to give up on her child. Here, on March 4, 2020, Sasha disappears without a trace. And Galina Morozova first posts where she grieves very much for her child, asking for help in finding him. A couple of days later, she posts a post again where she is very worried about her son and admits that he had problems, but says that they're all because of capitalism. And this whole post boils down to another campaign for a political party. The whole city is already looking for the boy, and his mother continues to post videos about her social movement. It was as if the people around her had noticed that Galina wasn't worried at all about losing her own. And it lasted for more than 1 or 2 months. But no one guessed what Galina had done. For several months, Galina fooled the whole city, getting to know her son on surveillance cameras, saying that people were telling her that they had seen her son in different parts of the city. The police began to hint that the case was being closed. The father caused a scandal, and the police continued the case and interviewed Denis' eldest son on a polygraph. Denis was 36 years old at the time. He lived with his family separately and always supported mother. On the lie detector, Denis is asked if you know where the child's body is located. Denis says no, but the polygraph shows the lie. It was then that the police began to consider the possibility of murder, but what happened next shocked everyone. Denis couldn't stand the onslaught and confessed everything. The police searched for the boy for 3 months, but it turned out that his own mother had killed him. The family lived in a fairly large house and all the relatives were in the house at the time of the murder. They lived in the other half of the house, so they didn't hear anything. Alexander always spent the night in his mother's room. According to her mother, she heard Alexander climb to the upper window of the 2nd floor, let him in and went to feed him, cooking dumplings. After that, she went up to the boys' room. He was already lying down, and before that she made a sharpener out of a hair dye brush. She went up to the boy who was lying quietly and asleep. I hit him in the ear with this brush. She planned that death would come immediately, but she missed the important thing. At that moment, the boy turned and looked at her, and she hit him in the knickers, which weighed at least 3 kilograms. The bones and the mattress were covered in blood. She took the boy's body and carried it to the car. She threw away the knuckles and the sharpener into the river. The blood was wiped off the wall, and the mattress was also rolled up and packed, and I took it out to the car. She went home to Denis. Then she went by car to her son Denis. Denis was not surprised that his mother came so early. She did it often. He just woke up, let her in, went back to sleep. There are 2 buildings on Denis' property, and just one of them is a dilapidated building in which Galina often spent the night doing something. There was a cellar in this house, into which Galina simply dumped her son's body and covered it with earth. She called Denis because she couldn't cope with such thoughts. She took him to swear that he would not tell anyone anything, and there at prayer she told him what she had done to his brother. Denis didn't believe her, but the next day he looked into the cellar himself and was horrified. There was a shovel in Sasha's body, but then a brilliant idea came to Galina's mind. Because she was afraid that the neighbors would hear the smell of corpses, she decided to concrete the body of her own son. Denis already had ponds with concrete on the site. She often just kneaded them with her bare hands, which caused cuts and sores all over her hands. When asked by people what was wrong with her hands, she replied that he was looking for his son in the reeds. Do you know why else you memorized Denis from the last part? He personally helped his mother concrete his brother's body. Galina was given 14 years in prison. She confessed her guilt. I felt guilty, but she still looked very happy, and it was obvious that she had no regrets. She proved to everyone that she had saved her family from her drug-addicted son. Just think about it. From a 12-year-old son who suffered himself because of his mother, Denis did not receive any punishment because he turned her in and confessed. These are the stories and people around us. Please be careful, healthy, and happy. Thanks for watching.